guys and girls, welcome back to another episode of Dad's Toy Garage. Today I'm going to be showing you a little bit of my plan for the intake on this car. It's going to involve a Subaru WRX Turbo and this motor. We're going to be doing a little bit of fitting and just something that I want to work on while I'm waiting for my couple parts so I can move on to the next stage of the build. So follow along and let's have some fun. Alright, so I have been doing some more thinking on what I talked about earlier about running turbo in this car. And there are a couple of things drawing me towards doing a blow-through turbo at this point. Number one, I've done research and my TD05-H turbo does not have any kit that adapts a carbon seal, so it'll always burn oil. So then I figure, well, we got to mount an intercooler to the front of this car, which I'm kind of fortunate. Guy at work gave me this intercooler for free because he was fed up with his eBay kit. So it'll actually, it's loose here right now, but it fits in this location. The horns will have to be relocated. What's causing this gap down here, it's probably hard to see right now because the lighting's poor, but this isn't bolted off. It's kind of a two-finger depth, but it will fit. Once I reshape, it juts out a little bit in here, but I will cut that out, and that'll also have my piping curve in there, and then I'll reshape that bit of steel in there. You can see it down here. It juts out a little bit. That will have to be reshaped a little bit. The piping will come up through here, and I'll probably have to have it route over the motor. I'm not sure, I haven't thought that part through 100% yet, but I won't have to relocate the battery this way either, or the alternator. I'll get to why that is in a second. But underneath the intake, once the tubes are cut, I think I can actually drop the turbo down in that space there. I'll have to change the clock on the turbo so that this drain is not pointing out, but it hangs straight down. So hopefully I don't know if these two are fused together. If not, it'll have to be a bit of a curve into there. But I'd like it as close to the motor as possible for quicker spool ups. But this hanging down is perfect. I can put the filter on here and then have it hang straight down and actually curve into this location here. So that's where I'm at with that. It'll be a nice, neat and tidy install. Then I guess I also have this blow-off valve that he gave me. Same guy. He said he redid most of his eBay kit, so I'm not sure how these exactly set up yet. I have to do the research, but potentially can use this piece. I'm thinking I can use, let's pull the turbo out of here for a second. So I want to triangulate this turbo with some hem joints, and the engine mount bolt is right there at the tip of my finger, behind this primary tube here. And the bonus of having a flange for my Subaru Turbo that is slightly different and doesn't use all the holes. You'll see this in a second here. So I'm going to just use just the flange here. Let's get the camera lined up. So I'm going to use just this flange for the exhaust. But there's 3 holes here. 1, 2, 3, and there is 1, 2, 3 plus 2 extras. So when you put it on, get this in the right spot. I now have 2 extra studs where I can triangulate that turbo. So I got a stud here, and when you flip it over, I got a nice stud over here. So that allows you to will allow me to triangulate that turbo to the side of the block. There's a lot of weight hanging off there. But with the hem joints, it's supposed to allow it to still flex. And then I guess I'll have the oil tapped in, but I would also like to be able to utilize the coolant passage. Then I don't have to let the car run for so long, for a couple minutes after I turn it off. So if I can do that, maybe I can tap it in with the heater core hoses, potentially. And then the hardest part, I guess, will be tuning a carb. Probably get fed up with it and convert it to EFI at some point, but I'll get a blow-through carb set up on there with a top hat. It should look pretty cool. So I've disassembled the turbo, and I'm going to reclock it now. One thing I'm wondering about is getting this pin out of here. It's actually pretty simple to take this apart. Some people talk about the circlip being really hard to pull out, but it wasn't too bad. I just used a set of these and a little screwdriver. So once it was in here, right? So then you pinch it together, and when it gets close enough, when there's enough gap, you just stick your screwdriver and you pull up, and you work your way around that way cautiously. Alright, so here's the turbo. It is clocked now. There was 2 tabs I had to each end of. There's a tab on here I had to grind off, and one here so that I could clock it. It's going to sit in the car this way. Oil drain is in the bottom here. Oil feed is here. There's your, when it sits in the car, that's the angle it's going to bolt to the turbo exhaust manifold. And there's the face is a little bit towards the block, but I think I can make that work with the right kind of bend. But it'll be facing down like that. That way, nothing with this wastegate changes. I can use that wastegate. So now turbo sits about here, but underneath in the car. You can see it'll run down there. Got the oil feed here. Oil drain is at the bottom. I think I can tap into the pan nicely. That way it'll be nice and close. And then the exhaust goes out there. So I got the turbo sitting in here. I'm kind of hoping to have it sit about here and see where it all lines up. And I guess that's one option. The other option is to have it mounted up here, as long as it doesn't interfere with the battery. So both of these are things that I could do. This might be the better option, I'm not sure yet. So this is my turbo exhaust manifold flange for the, it'll come off the exhaust manifold header and slips right on. Still pretty warm, but it'll just slip on. So I gotta put it on. It's in place. I got, I guess when it sits in the car, this will potentially become one of the studs, and here's the other one to do the turbo triangulation, these 2 studs. So I'm thinking this is going to be the position of the turbo. I've got it propped up on a piece of wood and a metal rod. The intake manifold will still fit here. And then to the intercooler will go under the engine mount, and air filter will be up here somewhere. And then it'll be fun getting it. You can't see back there right now, but it'll be fun getting it between the steering shaft. Need a little bit of heat tape or something there. So I went to the local metal shop, picked up this flat bar, 6 weld L's. They're schedule 40, and I forget the diameter, I have to look that up yet, and a schedule 45-foot piece of pipe. And so basically, looking at this, you can see that the ports do not even line up on this header, and I really want it to line up. And the next problem with, I was going to use this flange, but the next problem is it's not thick enough. It doesn't seat properly against the head. You can see there was a leak here. They've welded in these flat pieces onto a thinner piece of steel, and you can get the comparison here. There's, see if we can line them up. Basically, they equal out, but the header tubes aren't even in, the primaries aren't even in line, so I may end up having to make a fresh one. Yeah, so that's the thickness we need there, because they share, when they fit together, they share bolts, so they have to be the same thickness. This is the intake manifold. So that's the project we're going to have in the works here. So it's a fairly thick piece, but that's the OEM thickness for the flanges there. I have made the templates out of Zero Box for the shape I need for the exhaust port flanges. There's one. There. There's two. Here's three. Alright guys, thanks for joining me on this part of my build series on the 1973 Celica, and next time we will be doing some quarter panel work.